It's the Lapdown podcast with pristine, crisp audio once again for a one-off before I disappear out of the country again, because I'm on that F1 yearly schedule of flyaway races. But I'm back now for this week, and so is Dan Jads, and he's over there, and he's ill. So yes. I've bumped my audio quality up, and he's bumped his own voice down. But Dan, apart from being ill, how are you?
Yeah, the audio quality is still great. Just yes. the human being quality has just dropped a couple of %. But apart from that, I think I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. It feels like, well, we're not very far away, are we, from seeing cars going zoomies around circles now? So that's going to be good.
The zoomy time approaches rapidly because we're now in Feb, and we're not just in Feb. I don't know what happened to the first week of Feb because it's now the 7th of Feb when we're recording this.
Yeah,
so
I don't know what happened to January, to be fair.
No. And then car launch is, the 19th or the 21st or something for the big F1 75 special wank-off?
Yes, but I think some of the teams have decided they can't be arsed with that, and they're going to do some things before that anyway. But 2 weeks today
they're not allowed to do liveries on those. They have to do one-off liveries because you can't spoil the paint surprise.
Right.
It's the paint surprise, mate.
But what do we... Right, okay.
Paint!
So if we're going to have a car launch... Mm-hmm. that is going to have a one-off livery on it that isn't going to be the livery because we have to wait until the O2 to find the livery.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Paint.
No, I understand what you're saying, but why?
Paint. That's all I've got. That's all I've got to offer you is paint.
I don't think Red Bull are actually doing one of these pre-launch parties before the launch party. But what would their one-off livery be, bearing in mind the Red Bull car hasn't changed for the last 10 years? Would they suddenly... honestly, just wait. If they're going to wait until the O2, just wait. Otherwise, we're just going to... What are we going to do? Have a green Ferrari?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think
Red
Bull
in the past...
isn't it?
Sorry. But...
Yeah. Red Bull in the past have done some one-off liveries that have actually been quite cool. They did like some pixel camo stuff.
Yeah,
and
did
a
Star Wars one at Monaco once.
In the past. But like pre-season, like one-off testy liveries and stuff. I feel like it's a chance for the teams to have more fun with these pre-season testing liveries because they probably don't have the same sponsor obligations than they would on the actual livery. So I feel like, and I'll say this now and I'll be wrong and they'll just wheel out like a stock blue car. But like Williams, for example, I think are one of the teams that have a pre-release launch with a one-off livery. If I'm Williams and I'm the Williams livery designer, I'm going... Please, lads, finally, can you let me actually design a car I want to design and not a car that has to be largely based around a battery? There's a chance to do it really cool, but I'm not sure if they will.
But also, they're not going to launch the car and show everybody their new front wing end plates and double rear diffusers and special F-ducts and stuff like that, are they? So what are they? So we're launching cars ahead of a livery launch without a livery that's going to be run on it in 2025. Plus, we're going to launch a car that isn't actually going to show any of the technical or aerodynamical or engine-based changes on it either, because they won't want to give their competitors a look in at their car for 2025 before anybody else gets to have a look. So what is the point? I really am struggling to find out.
No, I think genuinely...
Because even the O2, like they're not going to wheel out the 2025 car.
That's paint.
For a bunch of spotty tourists to have a look at it and be like, oh yeah, well that Red Bull's got this, and Mercedes, it's just going to be the 24 car.
No, the O2 event is definitely a livery event. That's a paint party, 100%. Yeah. But I think the teams that are going early have shakedowns the next day. So that might actually be actual car. Or actual car in quotation marks.
Yeah,
that will be a runnable car. Whether or not all like the renders and the big like pulling the fabric off it is the actual car. I think it's Aston Martin and Williams, I think, both have Silverstone like shakedown filming testing days. So there'll have to be an element of actual car about it because otherwise, what is the point? So I think, and I guess as well, that maybe then makes a little bit of sense why it's the likes of Williams and Aston that are doing it, because realistically, I don't think anyone at McLaren, Red Bull or Ferrari are looking to the Williams for inspiration. I say that with all due respect to the team at Grove, that it's, they might have come up with something fancy, but they're probably, they're down the order. They're a lower hanging fruit to
fair comment.
have done it. But hey, we get to see some stuff sooner. Let's rejoice about that. And then we've got testing in Bahrain, and then we're going bloody down under, who are putting up all the seats and the fencing and whatnot, which is a little bit exciting and tingly. So leading into that, we best start doing some predicty stuff, because that's what you have to do if you have a Formula One podcast, is you have to predict things. That's the law. So what we thought we'd do is we're going to do a little teammate head-to-head. We're going to go through the 10 teams on the grid, and we're going to we're going to take a stab at who's going to do better in that teammate battle, and roughly by how much. So we've got to run through. We will probably do a specific driver order pre-season, but if we're being entirely honest, we don't know who half of these coats are anymore. So there's only so much that you can say about a bloke where I don't actually know if Isaac is spelt with a K or a C or both.
I think it's a C.
Just
with
a
maybe
C?
2 A's.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the wrong letters. There you go. Even better.
I think. I don't know. I can't be 100% sure. I think it might have 4 A's if you include Hajar as well. But...
I know there's just something funky about it. It's just not. It's an unusual Isaac. I know that much. But we'll go in last year's World Constructors Championship order. So we'll start with the mighty McLaren, my papaya boys.
Oh, we're going top down. Okay.
Oh, hey, we can go arse up if you'd like to go arse up.
I mean, that's an invitation I wasn't expecting to have at 11:30 on a Friday morning. But I do you know what? I have no preference as to whether we go top down or arse up. We'll
go top down. Top down. We'll give the big boys the time they deserve.
Okay.
Kick us off then. I think we probably will both agree on this one. But McLaren in 2025.
Yes.
Who's winning that driver head to head?
So I mean, this is probably the battle, really, isn't it? I think of the whole grid, to be completely honest. One that needed a little bit of team orders at the end to finally separate them. Could it have come earlier? Might it have been a bit more interesting at the end of the season for Norris or not? I don't know, but it wasn't, and it didn't matter in the end. But I've got Norris just pipping Oscar Piastri. I've not got much in it at all, and my numbers I've put 14-10 in the favour of Lando Norris. The only thing is I can't convince myself that Lando's going to go one better than what he managed this time around. And because they're so competitive, I don't know how big of an impact going one better for Lando Norris. If Oscar can't go one better as well, and obviously Max and Red Bull go 3 or 4 worse, whether it actually makes that big of a difference. But I don't think there's much in it. If Oscar Piastri outperformed Lando Norris come the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. But if you ask me now, I'm going to go 14-10 in the favour of Lando.
Yeah, I think I was very similar. I think Lando is going to pip that head-to-head. I think we will see a lot of McLaren 1-2s this year, and I think we'll see a lot of McLaren double podiums if it's not a 1-2. I think the whole World Drivers' Championship discussion is a separate one, but I think for as long as Piastri is at McLaren and they don't straight out come out and say race 1 we have a number 1 and a number 2 driver, Lando's going to find it harder and harder to win a World Drivers' Championship, because Oscar is going to take points off him accidentally, deliberately, in any way, unless there is real aggressive papaya rules on it. Particularly while Max is up against Liam Lawson, which we'll get to, but I don't think either of us are going to put Liam on top of that, and I think both of us are probably going to have Max wiping a bit of floor there, spoiler alert. So Max has got a clear run at points and being first car on track that Norris won't have, and we've seen last year that Oscar is very willing to race his teammate properly. I can see there being some tears on that at some point, but no, I think you've got it about right on the 14-10. And we should say we're talking race results, their position on track. It's not
FP1s
quality
and
battles and all. It's just when you look down the race finishing order, who has finished in front, regardless of what position that is.
Yeah.
And I think you've got it about bang on. I think McLaren will be very good again. I think we've said it so many times. We are shaping up for an absolute banger of a season. If no one fucks it or someone hasn't found some magic, this should be all time. But no, I think I'll shake your hand on that. I think a Norris sort of 14-10, that sort of realm, I think is, I'd say that's pretty fair. I think they will also finish sequential numbers a lot, even if that's not 1-2. I think we might see a lot of 3-4. We'll see a lot of Noah's Arky stuff on that. I think because they're getting pretty close.
For a bit of fun, we could potentially go through and do actual kind of race weekend predictions, and we could kind of predict our winners and our pole sitters and our podiums and things like that, and we could see which one of us are best at plucking things out of our arse and guessing names and numbers as an option if we're going to continue.
A pair of pluckers.
A pair of pluckers. You never know. I'm going to have to throw back to you because I don't even know you came second in the constructor. It was Ferrari, wasn't it?
It was Ferrari. It's the first two were the hardest too, because I sat there for maybe 5 minutes just staring at the word Ferrari on my notepad going, fucking hell, it's Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Who's winning that one? There's pros and cons. One of them's actual Lewis Hamilton, and I think his first initial is A, because I usually refer to him as actual Lewis Hamilton. But then the other one is Charles Leclerc, who's actually very good, and also he's driven that car before, which I think is... I want to give him the edge, I think, by 12.5 to 11.5. Maybe they'll finish together in one race, or they'll both have a DNF or something, I don't know. But I just think there's a certain home field advantage for Charles Leclerc. He's driven the car, he knows their bullshit on the radio, he knows how to deal with that. I just think he's a very good driver that is in a groove, and he finished third, I think, in the WDC last year, and he deserves a good year as young and no longer that young Charles. And as good as Lewis Hamilton is, I think it's quite tricky to move into an entirely new team, an entirely new setup after so many years in the other one, and instantly outdo the very good incumbent. So I'm going to give it to Charles, but I'm giving it to Charles by the little E in Leclerc.
I don't disagree with you that it's going to be close. I have a different view on it. I think it's going to go in the favour of Hamilton, and I've got 13-11 down as my numbers.
I thought you were going to say, and I've got 13 reasons why, and I was
No, I haven't got that many.
Let you run at it.
My prep was about 5 minutes, not 15. So here's the logic as to why I think is every bit of PR that's come out of Ferrari since Lewis has turned up. I've kind of forgotten that Charles Leclerc is even an employee at Ferrari. Mm-hmm. I just wonder, I really do wonder whether we are going to see a number one driver at Ferrari this year. And I wonder whether we're going to see all the eggs go in Lewis Hamilton's basket. I wonder whether he's going to get preferential pit stops, upgrades, strategies, tyre choice, everything like that in an attempt to kind of go, let's make history. Because Ferrari, let's be honest, they haven't been successful, have they, for the last... decade or so.
Grossly unsuccessful as well. Not even successful, too far away from where they need to have been.
So to sit there at the end of these regs when they've got a car that last year was very, very close to the front, to sign off with, we've made Lewis an 8-time world champion. Lewis won the first Ferrari world championship in however long it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I just wonder whether it's all going to go and we are going to actually have Lewis as a number one driver, because actually could Charles suck it up for 12 months, knowing that I know Hamilton's got this 1 + 1 year contract, isn't he? If he wins the 8th...
He's staying.
Do you think he stays to try and get 9, or do you think he just turns around and goes, thanks lads, that was great, see you later?
No, I think he stays. I think if he wins the 8th without exhausting himself... if that makes sense. If he can win, not an easy 8th, there's no easy, championship, but if he can win it with good vibes, I think it'll be very vibes based. The bloke never looked, 56 or however old he actually is, but he looks about 25 again. He's been drinking the blood of the youth in Italy, I think. It's a very interesting point that I hadn't considered, that whether or not it was part of the signing agreement as well, of hey, come to us, we'll make you the number one, we'll tell Charles later, we'll be fine. It's interesting. I had thought, Lewis does have a bit of fountain of youth about him. It feels like, from what we've seen recently, and that he might have a real sharp uptick this year, and then maybe if he does stay 26, a 26 drop off, because it might be you really psych yourself up for it, and then if it doesn't quite happen or whatever. But I think they will be the closest matched pairing on the grid,
Yeah.
whichever way it goes. If someone, if a team doesn't get involved. But then if a team gets involved, they'll also probably be a bit McLaren-y. We could end up here, based on my predictions, with just an absolute Noah's Ark from 1 to 20, because they'll just all be sitting side by side. But no, that's almost the story, isn't it, of this year, I think, is the treatment of... Not the treatment makes it sound as if it might be negative, but how that Hamilton and Ferrari, partnership plays out, if there is any sort of silliness that goes on with it. So you say Charles would be happy to step aside.
No, I don't know whether he will. It was just an amusing point, really.
Does he think he's running out of time a little bit? Not urgently, but if I'm Charles Leclerc and I'm seeing the likes of an Oscar Piastri come through, and am I thinking I'm not getting any younger here? Like, I need to start winning a few.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anything from Charles Leclerc to say that he's owed a world championship. That's one thing I would say. It's not. And similar to Lando and similar to Oscar Piastri as well, and George. I don't think any of them have done anything so far where I've gone, like they are due one, if that makes sense. Like every single one of them, if they went through their entire career and they didn't win a world championship, I don't think I'd look back at it and go, God, I'm bloody surprised that like Charles Leclerc didn't win one. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah, I think
just my thought.
He's not owed a world championship. He's owed a good, reliable car to drive. That's all that boy needs, so that at least we can have a look at what he can do for 24 races in a car that's a car and a strategy that's not.
But maybe Ferrari's not the place for that.
Well, there's also that. There's a Red Bull seat coming up, I would imagine, at some point relatively soon. Speaking of Red Bull, right, let's do them next. It's an easy one. It's going to take us about 8 seconds to talk about this. Max Verstappen's going to wipe the floor with him.
Yeah, I've got 24-0.
Yeah. And that's not a slight on Liam Lawson.
No.
That's us wanking off Max Verstappen. I'm still considering Liam Lawson a rookie. I know he's not probably technically a rookie. He's a rookie. He's not going to come into that team with how we've seen that team treat senior drivers up against Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
If you thought that maybe Lewis Hamilton's going to get the absolute red carpet treatment, at Ferrari, Max has, red carpet plus at Red Bull, doesn't he?
Cars are reliable now. Like it's very, very unlikely that Max is going to have a couple of retirements. Then obviously you can see Liam outscoring him or finishing further up the grid. I think Liam's got 5 rounds to try and win a race. And if he doesn't win a race, he's not going to win one all year.
Yeah.
Because I think Red Bull will kind of go, yeah, go on, have a bit of fun for the first. And then it'll be like, no, head down, you're the number 2, Max wins, thanks very much, cheers.
I can tell you right now, we are going to hear Liam at Hannah on that radio so many times this year. Because, and he has to know that as well. He, as much as he will come out and say, I'm here to compete and whatever, Liam Lawson's time is not now. Liam Lawson's time is 26, 27, 28, assuming he can keep his nose clean and do well.
I was going to say, I couldn't even put money on him making to the end of the season.
Oh, look, you never know, but in his mind, he shouldn't be looking at 25 as his year. 25 is stay out of all headlines and be the ultimate team man, and then we'll worry about what happens later, because, I think Hannah's going to be on the radio plenty. Not that I think Max will even need it, but in the event a botched pit stop or something like that happens, Hannah will have her finger on that, intercom button real quick, I think.
Yep, agreed.
Mercedes, another easy one, and again, it's not a slight on anyone, but it's a very experienced, very good driver up against a rookie. I've got 24-0.
See, I haven't.
Ooh.
See, I have. I've got it in favour of George.
Yeah.
Because for all of those reasons that you've said above, I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep, just because I think George is a little bit more kind of inconsistent than someone like Max. I think he's got the ability to have a bit of a temper tantrum by himself, or
put the car upside down in Australia.
Yeah, there's options, isn't there, for George? And I just think there you'll get. I've got 20-4 down.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 kind of little cock-ups from George there to allow Kimi to pick up extra points.
I did also wonder with Mercedes. I think there's a chance at Mercedes that it could either be 24-0 to George Russell or 12-12, 50-50 George Russell, Kimi Antonelli. I think it goes one of 2 ways. I think it's more likely to be an absolute washout, or can't split them than it is to be like an in-between, oh yeah, Kimi gets him sometimes, but George just has the wool over him. I think it's either Kimi's going to settle in real quickly into Formula One and that car and just foot down from the start, or he gets absolutely trounced, I think, is what I can see happening. But
yeah, George's first opportunity, I think, to kind of lead that team as well. And it's similar to what I just said about the fact I don't think any of them are owed world championships. I think this year with Russell, if he were to dominate, I think kind of puts another kind of percentile into his court to kind of be like, you know what, there is chance there, if that makes sense. Whereas, as you said, if Kimi pops in the garage next door and matches him over the course of the season, I think there are then questions to kind of go, well, who do Mercedes invest in? Do they keep going with George? Do they promote Kimi? Does George become a contestant for that Red Bull seat if it gets vacated by Max?
Could you see George going over the road?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. I think these are going to start to get a little bit quicker now because as we go down, there's a little bit less intrigue about some of the other teams, I think. Aston Martin. Fernando Alonso or Lance Stroll, who's winning that this year, please?
Yeah, well, I've gone just for Fernando. Not just. I've got 19.5 down.
I had sort of 3/4 of them. He's going to come out on top.
I just like with Fernando, he kind of gets to a point. He just goes, I just can't be arsed anymore. And almost gives away kind of a couple of freebie results to his teammate, like he did last year, when he realises that the Aston's actually a pig to drive and just can't be bothered. But I would imagine Lance probably spends as much time in the gravel / in the wall / sat on a yacht somewhere as he does driving around in front of Fernando. So yeah, 19.5. We ain't going to see kind of an emergence. Lance Stroll isn't the caterpillar that's gone into the cocoon and is about to emerge into the butterfly. He stays as the little caterpillar thing.
No, he's staying in goo form when it like melts itself down and then comes out again. It's a strolly goo. Lance Stroll can be quick. He has occasionally shown glimpses of, oh wow, yeah, I can see why you're in F1. And we do make jokes about Lance Stroll on this podcast, and people do get very wound up that, okay, he is still by normal people standards, a very good race car driver or whatever. He's just not quite there. As I say, I had sort of Fernando's going to win 3/4 of it. I think as well in these middle and lower teams, the driver quality starts to make less of a difference as well, and you get a little bit more. We make a lot of cricket comparisons on this podcast, but the middle and lower teams is more like T20 cricket, that it just brings the two closer together because you're fighting against something potentially slightly out of your control as well. But I think Fernando will cover him off this year. Lance will have the occasional moment, and the occasional moment of absolute stupidity. Alpine, again, Pierre Gasly's a very good driver. He's up against a rookie. I think Pierre wins it 24-0.
You are bringing out some serious clean sweepers here, aren't you?
I just don't see...
Gasly 24, Verstappen 24, Russell 24-0. It's like, it's the disrespect going towards this.
I'm also basing this
How have you managed to give Lance Stroll points as well in comparison to poor old Kimi and Jack Doohan?
Because I just think Fernando is aging. Fernando's very good, but he's aging. And he's going to have the odd one. Jack Doohan's not even going to get 24 chances at it to score 24 points.
I've underlined the points that I've given Jack Doohan to kind of go, this is on the caveat that he makes it to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I also think Pierre is under-respected as an F1 driver. He's a very keep your nose clean, put in a good performance with the tools available kind of driver. And Alpine did start showing something at the back end of last year, and I think we could see regular Pierre top 8 kind of stick it up there things where I just don't think we're seeing it from Doohan. I know we've got very little to work from on that. If Franco Colapinto comes in, we love Franco Colapinto. He's the official driver of the podcast. Again, I don't see him outperforming Pierre Gasly, who's now been in the sport for how many years? 6, 7 years?
Oh, possibly longer than that, I think now. Maybe even getting on for 10.
Like, experienced, quality driver. I just don't see them beating him reliably or in theory ever.
Yeah, I've got 21-3 down in favour of Gasly on the caveat that Doohan makes it to the end of the year. I think Alpine in retrospect want Colapinto. Mm-hmm. I think the world wants Colapinto. And I think even Australia, because Australians have got Oscar Piastri and an adopted Liam Lawson kind of kicking around there as well, I dare say probably wouldn't be that upset.
I don't need you, Jack. I'm sorry.
That's what I mean. And I kind of feel like with that all piling against him, we're going to see Colapinto in that car before long. And I think if it's Gasly versus Colapinto, I think it's a very interesting and a very different conversation, because I completely agree Gasly is undoubtedly more experienced. But from what we've seen from Colapinto, the guy appears to give absolutely zero fucks and just drives the absolute wheels off the bloody thing. And at that point there, I think you could see a closer kind of battle between the two of them. But as it stands, Gasly cleans up, I think.
Yeah. I think Haas have got a bit of a dark horse driver lineup this year. It's not this outstanding headline driver lineup, but Esteban Ocon is a good, reliable driver, and the Bearman has shown glimpses of actually being really quite a good driver when he's got the car underneath him, and I can see them being the kind of driver pairing that Haas has not had for a long time. I know with like Magnussen and Hulkenberg, they had two experienced drivers, but Magnussen's always a little bit of a rogue unit, right? Like you can get some brilliance and some absurdity with him. And I just feel like with Ocon and Bearman, I'm back to vibes again. The vibes feel good with those two. Having just said all that about, Gasly being so experienced and up against a rookie and whatnot, again, I'm considering Ollie Bearman a rookie.
Yep.
I don't see that so much with Ocon and Bearman, and I don't know why. And I also think that Ocon is a little bit underrated. I think Ocon's going to take it. I think it will be a bit of a, like I said with Fernando, he's going to win it maybe sort of 3/4 of the time. I think Bearman will have some standout occurrences, and Ocon will have the odd mishap. But no, I just like that Haas lineup for some reason. I don't know why.
I think it'll be interesting with Ocon. I think he performs well when he's loved by his team. Mm-hmm. I think he's very quick to start dragging his arse if he doesn't feel like things are going his way. And I suspect that he's obviously been told that he's going to be the number one driver there. And Haas were pretty good to Nico Hulkenberg last year, to be fair. They did kind of have that number one. I could see Ollie Bearman throwing the cat amongst the pigeons in that team, though, and really kind of pushing and pressuring Esteban, which hasn't always gone particularly well for him in the past with teammates that have actually kind of taken it to him. I've got it 14-10 in favour of Ocon.
Yeah.
But I've kind of forgotten the fact that the one standout thing from Ollie Bearman happened in a Ferrari.
Yes.
And the two things that he did in a Haas were ordinary to pretty mediocre to piss poor. And I don't know. Ollie Bearman will be a better driver by the time he gets to Brazil again next or this year, but maybe 10's a bit high for him.
Yeah. No, I think we're aligned there, aren't we? That like Bearman's got a hell of a lot of potential. That it's going to be touch and go. RB, I have found a little bit tricky in the sense that I know very little about Isaac Hadjar apart from the fact that his name's spelled a little bit funny, and based on the RB Instagram that I saw from a few days ago, the bloke has an outrageous set of abs on him, which I didn't see coming. Every picture I'd seen of Isaac Hadjar, you didn't think he was... Pudgy is a harsh word. He's bulky. He's a big boy. He's solid. He'd be good at rugby. And then they've posted a picture of him in a sauna with his rig out, and my peeps were Jeezied. I'll tell you that right now. And the comment section just needed a bucket of cold water in that sauna. But that's all I know about Isaac Hadjar. And I've got a lot of time for Yuki Tsunoda. I think Yuki will... Again, I think it's sort of a three-quartery jobby. I think Isaac might occasionally pop in there with a result, and Yuki's prone to a meltdown occasionally. I think Tsunoda should, as well, is the other thing, should dust him. But, yeah, I don't think... He was not an instant, 24-0 rookie whitewash for me.
Yeah.
It was you're going to win it, well, but maybe the odd turn up for the books.
Yeah, I've got 18-6 in favour of Tsunoda. I think the thing with Yuki is going to be interesting as to what his motivation is. I don't know how close he actually was to getting that Red Bull seat, but the world kind of thought he was pretty close, didn't they? And also the other thing is, if he doesn't get it now, what actually is the future of Yuki Tsunoda in Formula One? If he's not going to follow that path to Red Bull, which he might do, because as we said, Liam Lawson might not make it through 6 races and they might decide to swap him around. They're pretty brutal when it comes to things like that. They obviously have the link through to Honda, which I think helps Yuki as well in that team. Do any of the other teams, are they likely to start working with Honda as an engine supplier or manufacturer? I don't know, and that could provide another option. But if they're not looking at Honda as an engine supplier and the Red Bull family decide that they don't want Tsunoda anymore, are Tsunoda's days in Formula One limited?
Well, he's got Aston, doesn't he? Aston are going to Honda for 26
as an option, but apparently Max is going there anyway.
Well, yeah.
Are they going to get rid of Baby Stroll?
Well, if they're doing WEC now and they've got some other cars they could put him in.
Do you think the whole WEC thing for Aston Martin is just a way to... What an expensive, ridiculous way that is to tell Lance that he's not going to be a Formula One driver anymore.
Yeah.
Now, Lance, it's not worked for you here, but what we've done... We've made a £150 million team to go and compete in a series that you can race the same car with 3 other people and they can do the heavy lifting for you. And you can just kind of potter around a bit and figure it out. And we're going to do that for you.
Yeah.
What an amazing, what a great dad.
Can genuinely see that being true.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, by the way, if we go through all of this to end up with Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda as teammates, but it's at Aston Martin? Like, who had money on Verstappen and Tsunoda driver pairing, but they're wearing green? Like, no. What is the timeline that we're on? No, I think it's a very valid point, though, about... It's a bit of a make or break year for Yuki, isn't it? He
Feels
has
like it.
Everything in front of him to have a absolute dust year of 24-0, wipe the floor with a teammate, be a consistent performer, keep putting up P8, 9, 10, get the most out of that car and put yourself in the shop window when things potentially shuffle around a little bit again. But yeah.
That's the other thing as well. If Lawson does well, that's one of his seat options gone anyway.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, disappeared.
Well.
Williams driver lineup next year. Absolute sleeper agent set of a driver lineup.
Could be good.
Could
be good.
Could be good. Car could be shit. Sometimes maybe good. Sometimes maybe shit. Who knows? But they've got the people in the car now to absolutely maximize whatever those engineers can do. I think it's going to be very close between Albon and Sainz. A little bit, again, my thoughts on the Hamilton-Leclerc thing. I think there's value in being the incumbent. You know how that car drives and feels and you know the limitations of it. I think Carlos Sainz is the better driver on paper. I think if they were sim racing together, I think Carlos Sainz wins that most of the time.
Yep.
But I think 2025, Albon, he's going to, it's going to be very, very close, I think. And then I think if he does stay in 26, I think at that point there's a chance that Sainz starts to pull away a little bit. But I could see it almost being a 50-50 this year.
Yeah, there's a chance.
But also, can I just say, it's so nice for Alex Albon to now not have to carry an entire Formula One team on his back.
Yep.
Like, that could make this year very interesting for him because he's no longer the guy carrying around an absolute imbecile, but I'm sure they're lovely people, in, the garage next to him. For once, he can actually have a driver that can feed in on setups. And maybe he'll take some Carlos setups sometimes instead of having to literally coach his own driver on the team radio what to do through certain corners. He's now actually in a position where he's got a teammate that is a teammate that can help each other. And it might unlock Alex Albon, or it also might do the opposite and it might lock him up because maybe, having not a teammate made him look better either way. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone 15-9 in favour of Sainz. I don't really know why. I don't necessarily see this Williams car. I want to, but I don't necessarily see Carlos Sainz finishing on the podium in Bahrain, for example. I don't see that happening. Could I see both of them getting into Q3 at times? Yes. I don't know. There's part of me that just doesn't trust Williams at the minute, and I don't know what it is. Part of me kind of goes, well, do I really believe that they're just going to go now? Everything's going on 2026, or is there by chance now that they've got Sainz and Albon in that team? As you said, pound for pound, they are up there with two of the best drivers that you could possibly get. Could they suddenly kind of go, bloody hell, it's a double points finish for Williams this week. Where did that come from? And then next week it's kind of like, oh, and third place goes to Alex Albon. And you go, really? How on earth have they managed that? But that's what I don't trust about them. And my head says no, but I think my heart is just praying that they're going to get a bit further up the grid. But yeah, in terms of drivers, I think Sainz gets Albon. I think Sainz is better. How long does Sainz stay motivated if this Williams car is a bit of a pig for 12 months before they just turn around and go, actually, we are just working on 2026? I don't know. But
yeah, I could see in 2026. I don't think I see it for this year, even with the drivers they've got. But I could very much see 2026 Williams doing what Aston did a couple of years ago, where they just shock everyone because they find something and then they get like 6 races in the sun and then everyone works it out and then they drop back to being absolutely nowhere again.
Yeah.
But at least in the short term, all the employees are like, bonus. There's points bonuses happening here. And then, they all buy themselves a new coffee machine for Christmas. And then almost not the easiest one. That's maybe harsh. But Sauber, I mean, Nico Hülkenberg should wipe this. Realistically, the bloke has been F1 forever. The bloke is a stable, reliable, boring driver in the best way possible that you just think he should be finishing ahead every week. Not trouncing him necessarily loads of positions up the road.
No, I mean, it might be 18th, 19th, but...
It's just hard to see Nico Hülkenberg not consistently, if not every week, finishing on top of Bortoleto.
Yeah, I don't know that much about Bortoleto. The only thing I would say is... with what we have seen is, are Sauber likely just to completely cock up a couple of races for Hülkenberg and end up having like a 3.5 minute pit stop as they try and change the tyres at one of the Grand Prix, and then actually Bortoleto just kind of drives past him and doesn't get seen again. I think there's chance. So yeah, I had it down as 20-4, but
fair.
Yeah, if it was 22-2, 24-0, 18-6, somewhere around there, it should, as you say, all go in favour of Hülkenberg.
Yeah, I think we're actually... I don't know if that's the first time, but we've been pretty agreed on all of those.
Just Ferrari, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think...
Ferrari.
That's good from us. Right, so the big question then about 2025, who has the best driver lineup in Formula One this year? Go.
Yeah, it's one of two, isn't it?
It's one of two.
Well, it's one of 2.5, because Albon Sainz is worth an honorary mention.
I was literally about to say, we know who's third on the podium.
Yeah.
It's Albon and Sainz.
The thing is, you have to kind of take into consideration the bit of machinery underneath them as well, don't you? But I'm going to go... Oh, fuck it. I'm just going to say Ferrari.
There you go. I'll go McLaren.
Yeah.
I think they are... It's a bloody toss-up, though, isn't it, between those? And in different ways as well, I think. I feel like McLaren is the more exciting driver pairing, but then Ferrari is the more banker driver pairing. It's
I think
sort
so.
of old school, new school, old heads, like youthful, energy. That's sort of how I differentiate them. But I've got a, McLaren F1 car made of Lego behind me, so it's hard.
Yeah, lights are orange as well. So
they're actually red, thank you, but they just come across as orange on the camera because of white balancing. So,
all right. Then.
But no, and then I think we're agreed Williams is third. Right, I've seen there was a fan poll that I think maybe Autosport or someone did, and they voted Red Bull as the third best driver pairing on the grid, and that's just Max Verstappen carrying Liam Lawson on his own back. We've seen very little from Liam Lawson that he is that impressive so far. I think his best finish is like 9th, albeit in the shitbox RB.
Based on history, I think I could go and sit in that number 2 car in Red Bull, and Red Bull would still be competing for the Constructors' Championship at the end of the season.
One car team. They only need
genuinely,
yeah. They only need the one.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. We'll keep rolling then on Max Verstappen with a few little bits of F1 news to box off this podcast. Now that we've been through and we've casted definitive rankings, Max Verstappen's got a new jet. Congratulations, Max. I'm sure it's infinitely better than the old private jet that you had.
Apparently it's bigger and it's got better range.
There you go.
He's not going to have to stop over at places.
Oh, I mean, my heart goes out to him that he maybe had to spend some time in a lounge so they could put some more fuel back in the thing. I don't know. I don't like that it's black, Max Verstappen's jet. Just because I think it looks weird to see a black plane. It's nothing against Max at all, and it's got some nice designy bits on it, but there's just something about a matte black jet that was not as cool as matte black jet sounds like it should be.
Yeah. I don't know. It is what it is. What do you think's on the jet? Give me 3 things that you think Max Verstappen puts on the jet.
What, in terms of like kit out?
Just stuff.
I don't know if there's... Is there much on the jet? Or is it you just get on and you've got a couple of tables and lounger chairs and you just crack on and sleep? I don't know if there's toys on it,
Do you know
to be
what?
honest.
See, it wouldn't surprise me if he has a sim rig in the back of it.
Yeah, my mind was like, oh, we'll have a sim rig on it.
I think he'd have that over a bed.
Yeah. Or like built into the bed that he could be lying down, like sim racing on the ceiling.
Like those Lightning McQueen toddler beds with the steering wheel sat on
pedals
the
and
end
the
of
steering
it.
wheel like folds over the top. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I don't know if it... I don't know. Can you get jazzy stuff on a... I mean, I'm sure you can get whatever you want. You've got enough money on a
I think
on a
at the
jet,
point that you're
but-
paying a multi-million-pound jet, I think you can probably afford to put something on it.
Yeah. He's got Lando on it a lot of the time. I'm sure they can
Yeah.
get up to shenanigans of some
Are they
description.
friends now again?
I assume so.
Yeah.
I don't think George is getting many lifts, but I think
Or Johnny Herbert.
I think he's not going to the races anyway, mate. He's not allowed anymore.
He's working from Sky at home.
He got binned off. Mercedes have released their new team kit, and it
Yeah.
looks an awful lot like they're about to go and buy a 19p energy drink from a corner shop run by a Polish bloke.
Honestly, like, you'd think, part of me thinks it's a downgrade. Obviously, they've lost Lewis, and therefore they've lost Tommy as well, which you'd think is an issue. And I think the big issue is the fact that now Toto doesn't wear the Tommy Hilfiger shirts, because, I mean, that was pretty cool. But when you look at the race suits themselves, in, as you say, kind of a walking down Northampton Town Centre High Street, going to Poundland to buy yourself a bottle of Buzz or whatever energy drink.
Fuck. Zip.
With the 3 stripe down the side of it is pretty cool, to be fair.
I think
Adidas
the race
is a
suits
cool
look better.
brand.
The race suits look better than the team wear. The team wear I'm not vibing with.
No,
I
you
will
look like
say,
you're about
though,
to say five-a-side football, don't you?
Oh,
Down on a Tuesday
100%.
night.
It's the stock team kit that you can get with like a sponsor logo printed on the front. But they've been very sneaky though, Mercedes, haven't they? Because, well, not Mercedes, Adidas have been very sneaky because obviously it was so iconic having like the Tommy stripes around like the neckline and on the sleeve.
Yeah.
And they've gone, well, you can't copyright the idea of having a stripe around a neck. So what we'll do is we'll take exactly what it looked like before, but where it was red because it was Tommy, we're going to make it Patronus green. Dan's seen something, he's horrified. Oh, God.
That is mental.
Something's happened. Something's happened live on the pod.
Right, okay. Bear with me, caller. I'm going to have 5 items of clothing here, and I'd like you to guess prices.
Oh, okay. Something hasn't happened. Dan's just realised how poor he's going to be if he wants some Mercedes merch.
How much do you think the men's 2025 authentic driver tee white is?
Ooh, okay. So this is just the standard teamwear t-shirt.
Yep.
£89.
Incorrect. It's £100. How much do you think the men's 2025 team jacket in black is?
Oh, jackets always get expensive because apparently zips are made of fucking gold. £229.
No, bargain. 170.
Oh, must be on special.
How much do you think... Oh no, I thought that was a satchel then. How much do you think a men's 2025 team hoodie is?
Oh, hoodies, if the jacket's 170, the hoodie's 129.
110. How have they got the price of £100 for a t-shirt, but
And
for
then-
£10 extra you can get... How much do you think men's Ultra Boost 5X trainers with Patronus colours on are?
Now, I think the Ultra Boost trainers, if you're paying full price anyway, already run you about 180 odd quid. So if you stick a Patronus bit on them, you're probably getting about 210.
165.
Oh,
How-
there's some bargains and then some absolute piss taking going on here.
Final one. How much do you think the actual raincoat is?
Oh, the raincoat. If the normal jacket's 170, raincoat costs you more. 195.
£300.
Nah, get in the fucking bin. Well, how are they making up this pricing?
I don't know.
How does 3 t-shirts equal 1 rain jacket, but 1.7 t-shirts equals a non-rain jacket?
I don't know.
That's not maths.
I don't know.
I don't like it, and I will agree with you as well. Toto does not look good. I'm sorry, Toto, but you do not look good in the new Adidas teamwear. It doesn't fit you properly. The fit on the Tommy stuff was flawless. Have all the pumpernickel you want, because it just, what a silhouette. And this new one, it's not the vibe. It feels icky. I don't like it. It's icky.
Do you know, the last thing I'll say about it, there are 59 items that you could buy as teamwear. Adidas official Mercedes teamwear you could buy. 59. Imagine the wardrobe. Imagine how much that you'd be. You're getting close to about £3,000, I think, if you bought one of everything.
It's a lot.
There's four trainers.
I like it. And then we've got one more bit of teamwear chat to finish up. There's a mystery.
£30 for a woolly hat.
That's not too bad. It's shit, but it's not. Comparatively to £100 for a t-shirt, 30 quid for a beanie, I'm
It literally has a three-stripe
with.
on the front of it and a sew-on patch on the back.
Yeah, it's just the standard teamwear. Right. Speaking of non-standard teamwear, though.
Yes.
Mystery at Ferrari, right? Mm-hmm. What is the secret pocket on the Polo for? Because there's a secret nipple pocket that is a very subtle little zip up here on the chest. What are you keeping in your little secret chest pocket, Zhou Guanyu? I see your little pocket. What are you hiding in there, Charles Leclerc, you sneaky bean? What do you think that's for?
Probably a £5 note change after you've spent 100 quid on it.
I just don't...
£95 for the reference, if you wanted. Oh my word, the back is awful.
I've never been walking around and thought, I need to have something accessible to me here in case I wish to do an Elon wave.
You know the front is bad.
I actually don't mind it. It's too sponsor heavy, but I like the stripes.
The back, according to this image, on the collar has a Puma logo.
Okay.
Underneath it, which I believe is called the nape, has got a Ferrari badge.
Okay.
Underneath that, on the shoulders, has a big Hewlett-Packard badge.
Ooh, back sponsor.
And then underneath that, it has a big Shell badge.
Vertical stacking of your back sponsors.
This is £95, right? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 sponsors on this for £95. Shouldn't they be paying people to wear this?
But the thing is, I think if it didn't have the sponsors on it, would people still want it because it wouldn't look the same as the one the drivers wear?
I don't know.
It's a weird situation, isn't it? Because I quite like the design of the Polo. I agree the sponsors make it too much, right?
Well, you didn't know they were on the back, did you, until just then?
No, but if it didn't have the sponsors on it, would it then look like a knockoff and people wouldn't want it?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's a weird situation, but yeah. Odd.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, there we go.
What are you putting in your pocket anyway? Did we even decide that?
No, you got wound up about pricing and...
Sorry, go on.
Go
Back to your original point. What are you putting in your pocket?
I don't know. What are you putting in your pocket? What are you putting in your tip pocket?
It's just going to make your pocket kind of drop like this, isn't it?
I don't want something in a pocket rubbing my nipple.
You're like walking along kind of...
Yeah, I just... Genuinely, what's it designed for, though? Like, when they've spent more money to put the pocket on the tip, what did that designer go, oh, well, we have to have a tip pocket because that's where you have to put your penne. Like, what?
your keys to your Ferrari.
Yeah, I don't get it. It's not a logical pocket.
In a world of weight reductions and keeping things, to add another zip to something where you don't need a zip seems like maybe the people that design the Ferrari Formula 1 cars don't also work for Puma and design the polo shirts. But
possible.
I don't know.
What do you think?
To be fair, I mean, we ain't going to see Lewis wear it much, are we? Let's be honest.
No.
Guan Yu might wear it a few times, and Charles, I feel, could be influenced quite quickly by Lewis to be like, nah, you know what? If he's not wearing the school uniform, I'm not wearing the school uniform either because I'm cool too.
Yeah. No, valid. I'll pay it.
Done.
Right, that's us for the day. If you've enjoyed any of this, you can go and watch clips of it at LapdownPod on various socials. TikTok and YouTube are probably your best ones. You can go and say hello to us on Instagram as well. And if you'd like to go and see Dan do cricket-based things, you can do that on the internet at...
Dan Jats.
There it is. That's him. And you can't watch me anywhere else because I'm about to go away for another 3 weeks. So,
Love to
in the
see it.
meantime, if you've got anything you want to say, so you can email lapdownpod@gmail.com, and we might have a chat about that in future episodes. But when we're back next, I think we might have an F1 launch to talk about. We might be able to talk about paint. Could be exciting.
We love paint.
We are back to paint chat. It's where we all started, and we're coming back again. So we will see you post F1 launch event for a little bit of paint chat. See you next time.